Welcome to the Diaries podcast. This is where we talk about managing your time in ways that helps you accomplish your running goals. Lace up to get your race up. Let's get moving. Hey, what's up, everybody out there running on native land, and welcome to the Diaries podcast. I'm your host, Luis, aka Chico, and this is episode number 1. Thank you for spending some of your time listening to the show. I appreciate it, so I'm not going to waste it. Let's go. This episode's guest is a fellow runner and the founder of Moun10 Ultra, an organization with a mission that is near and dear to my heart. Today, we get to hear all about this, and it's my pleasure to have this guest as my first guest. So without further ado, Mr. Bryce Denton, welcome to the show.
How's it going, Chico?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me. I'm really stoked to do this.
Oh, definitely. So let's start out with the introduction. Give us your background and we'll move from there.
All right. I'm Bryce. I live in Denver, Colorado. I've been here for about 8 years now and can't imagine leaving. The mountains are definitely a part of my soul. 40 years old and just a dog to my name at this time.
Nice. So Denver, Colorado, I've only been there as a firefighter. I've never been there for pleasure. It's always for work. Tell us something about the Denver area or the state of Colorado that most people won't know. Something interesting or amazing.
I would have to say that there's mountain activities for someone of every ability here. You can roll over to Golden if you're not super adventurous, or you could go 45 minutes down the road into Idaho Springs and get up to some of the tallest mountains in the entire country. So there's something for everyone here in terms of outdoor activity. And that's one of the reasons I love living here, is because I spend more of my time outside than I do inside.
Oh, definitely. So growing up, is this where you were born?
No, I'm actually from Chicago and spent most of my time in the Midwest. Most of the activities that I partake in now are things that no one in my family ever would have guessed I would do.
And I'm in the same boat. I'm from an area. Well, I'm from Montana, but I'm completely out of my element, and I'm in the same situation. I'm doing things that my family has never done either, so I can relate to that. But growing up, did you have any siblings or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm actually one of 6. 2 of them are half sisters, so 4 sisters and 1 brother. So a lot of female influences in my family, and I'm kind of right there in the middle, so I got the brunt of everything.
Oh man, I feel that. Have you always been into athletics?
Yes. As a young kid, I played soccer and football. Then I got really into hockey for a while, and I've been skiing since I was 3, which is something I've done for my entire life.
All right. So hockey, that is 180-degree difference than running.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. It actually, I don't play as much anymore because of concussions, and that's kind of how I got into running. Between that and COVID, I kind of got forced to do sports on my own. And so that's kind of one of the reasons I got into running.
Okay. So have you played hockey your whole life? Was this a adolescent sport, and how far did you take that?
Adolescence, I played in high school, nothing in college, but I've played probably consistently 3 to 4 times a week from 14 till 35 or so.
After high school, what was your young adult life like? After you graduated high school, what did you do?
I went to college and then a little bit of grad school, and I launched right into work almost immediately, after college, and worked my tail off until 30 when I started my first company, and then kind of got to work for myself. But yeah, my 20s, most people traveled and had fun, and I was working 60-hour weeks minimum.
Where'd you go to college at?
A small school in Illinois called Dominican University, and I got my grad degree from there as well.
Oh, nice. And you said your first company?
Yes. So I started Moun10 Partners about 11 years ago, and I'm a contract CFO and strategy consultant for outdoor and environmental industry, which is kind of what got me into the next venture.
Ah, okay. So currently now, what do you do?
So I still run Moun10 Partners as well, but I now also, as you know, I've founded Moun10 Ultra in an attempt to help diversify the starting line of ultra races based on some of my own experiences at ultras and wanting to bring this sport to everyone.
Okay. So what is your work schedule like?
Oh, that's a good question.
All right.
Some weeks it's very quiet. Like for example, the month of August for me, almost all my clients are pretty much on hiatus.
All right.
But I would say on average, it's about like only 40 hours a week now, which is pretty nice.
Okay. So you get to be your own boss.
Yes, which is sometimes good and sometimes a real pain in the butt.
Do you have kids or anything like that?
No kids, just the dog.
Oh, so let me ask this. So I know I have a dog and his schedule it interferes with mine sometimes. Like I know I have to go run because he needs to run.
Yeah.
Do you have to work his schedule in anytime like that?
I don't really have to with her anymore because she's quite old. She's 11 and a half. But as some of you may know, I have a van, and that's one of the reasons I got the van is so that she could come along on the adventures and just stay comfortably in the van while I'm out running, because she used to come with me on every adventure from 8-mile hikes to 18-mile hikes.
Okay. So I'm in the same boat. Like my dog, his name is Blue. And to everybody out there in podcast land, you're going to hear Blue a lot. So he gives me a reason to not stay inside. Like he is one of the main reasons. But, as age goes on, like his miles are starting to diminish. What would be a 20-mile run for us is now a 10-mile, which is a long one for him now, So he is one of my biggest motivators. Does your dog motivate you?
Oh, absolutely. We used to have the most epic adventures, and being a lab from Minnesota, Annabelle loves the water. So almost every one of our hikes or runs now like involves some sort of water. So at the end, she can just get her swim on. But yeah, she's incredibly motivating for that reason as well.
So let's move to talk about Moun10 Ultra. Can you give us the background? How did all of this develop? What is the big goal of the business?
Okay. So it all started, like I said, COVID hit and I was playing hockey and rock climbing, and two of those sports went away immediately with COVID because you couldn't be around people. And my rock climbing partner just had a baby, so he was being ultra safe. So it was only me. I could only do activities with myself. And I love hiking. And someone's like, you already have trail runners. Why don't you give trail running a shot? I think you'd really enjoy it. So I started doing that. And I got really into it with the Leadville 100K challenge, which was you had 10 weeks to do 100,000 vertical feet. And then I was like, okay, I did that. And I really shocked myself. I was like, let's run an ultra. So I signed up for the Mad Moose events, Rattler Trail 50K, which should have been held in April, but was held in October because of COVID. And I got there, and I'm a bigger guy. I'm about 230, 240 pounds. And almost no one at the start line looked like me.
Okay.
And it dawned on me that if I felt that way as a white male, how must it feel for a person of color to like walk up to these starting lines of ultra races? And I kind of put that in the back of my mind for a while. And then I got to the new year and I decided, all right, I'm going to give back to the people that helped me get to my first ultra. And so I signed a few of my friends up for a race I was doing. And then I was like, I'm going to sponsor some more athletes. And it was supposed to be 5.
Yeah.
And it ended up being, now we have a race team of 16 individuals. 11 of those are BIPOC runners that we reached out to. Verna Volker of Native Women Running was like the most influential person in this entire process. We reached out to no less than like 10 Instagram accounts surrounding running and diversity. And she was the only one that responded. And she's just been instrumental in all the success that we've had so far. And it's been amazing.
That's awesome. And, I think I reached out to Verna as well, and she'll be a future guest on the show. So we're definitely looking forward to that. And, with you being our first guest, a lot of this is going to come full circle.
Yeah.
So you said BIPOC. Can you explain what BIPOC is?
Yes, that's Black, Indigenous, and people of color. So essentially non-white runners.
Totally understand. And you said your weight was?
I was like 230, 240 pounds when I took on my first ultra.
Okay. And
definitely a shuffler.
Yeah. So I started running in Montana, and I mean, I grew up there, running was always at my disposal. The mountains were always at my disposal, had trails, but I never took it to this level until I moved away. And then I got here, and now I miss the mountains, I miss the trails, I miss all these things. And now for me to do this type of stuff, I have to actually travel home, take leave, do all these other things that I've taken for granted my whole life and everything. So the area that you live in, like, is an amazing place to run in.
Yeah, without these mountains, I never would have started running, and none of this would have happened, because to be honest with you, like for me, it's all about the vert. So like if I'm getting up atop a summit, I would rather go straight up and then like run down. So for me, that's most of my trail running. And, when I told my parents that I was running an ultra marathon, they legitimately thought I was kidding, because I was that kid like in grade school that when the day the mile run came around, I was like crying and didn't want to go to school because I knew how slow I was. Yeah. And so like for me to run 30 plus miles with, multiple thousands of feet of vert, like it was just a complete shock to pretty much everyone that knew me.
So you keep mentioning vert. To my understanding, you guys have a challenge going on at the moment?
Yes. This July, we're doing it's our key fundraiser for the year to help sponsor more runners for the team. And so it's a vert virtual. Essentially, you're trying to gain as much vert as you can in the month of July. And there's a link in our Instagram bio to sign up. And so it's just for fun. It's to get people outside. It's to inspire them to, tackle new mountains or new hills if you don't live near the mountains, and just try something other than a distance-based virtual run to try and get people outside and having fun, because that literally brought my inspiration for running ultras. And so I wanted to kind of return the favor. And I didn't want to wait for the Cirque series in October, which has their big vert. And I didn't feel like waiting to do that one until October.
That's awesome. So I was going through the Instagram account. And first of all, can you let us know what your Instagram handle is so we can follow you on that?
Yep. It's at Moun10 Ultra, which is MOUN10 Ultra. Nice.
So I was looking on the account, and you have applications coming up for the next team.
Yes. And we just made an announcement today. So this podcast is perfect timing. We have been working with our advisory board, which is entirely made up of also BIPOC individuals. And Verna is one of those, and we're extremely grateful. And one of the reasons we created that was so that when we have partnership proposals, they're not just being evaluated from my perspective as the white founder, but from people of color as well. And so our first partnership just was announced today, and that's with Mad Moose Events. They have generously partnered with us to be our group race sponsor. And what that means is the team all goes to one race per year, and then as one big group. And so if we have 50 people are going to be at that race.
Okay.
And so applications are out now for 2022, which is also at the link in our bio for people to sign up. And this is not about winning races. It's literally about getting all of us out there and having fun doing it.
Mad Moose, that is the race organization. Are they only in the Colorado area?
Colorado and Utah for right now. There has been some talk, I think, of adding some other ones, but they're an amazing organization. The races are built for everyone. They are hard, but it's meant to be a fun atmosphere. And the other thing that's really amazing is that Denise Ricks, Justin and Denise own the company. Denise Ricks is of Native and Indigenous descent herself, which was important to us because we want to make sure that we're supporting BIPOC race directors as well.
That's awesome. I'm definitely going to look into that and try to get to some races over there now. So let's talk about your first ultra. Like, how did you prepare for this? Let's just start from there. Like, what was your mindset? I mean, because I know for me, it was like, this is something I'm going to do. I mean, I got to take the steps. Let's talk about your experience.
So kids and everyone thinking about getting into ultras at home, do not listen to this training program. I am a very stubborn and determined individual, but I don't specifically train. Like, I have two friends that just did a race and they followed a regimented, build up and then taper schedule. And that just isn't the way that I work. I basically just kept climbing mountains. I never went over 20 miles. I never did any speed work. I just literally kept climbing mountains and staying in shape, like from a cardiovascular and strength standpoint. But going into it, I was really scared. I'm not going to lie, because especially being a bigger runner, like just the pounding on the joints. I think my watch afterwards said 74,000 steps. Like, it was a lot. The race itself was interesting. First 16, so it was a double loop.
Which event was it?
It was the Rattler Trail Race.
Rattler,
with vendors.
okay.
Yeah. It was a 50K down in Colorado Springs in Palmer Park. And first loop, I was way ahead of my goal, and I didn't go out fast. I was definitely taking my time, but I was just like in a nice flow. And for me, fast is like I finished the first 16 miles in 3:45, which for me was awesome. It's very slow. It's probably slow for someone like you, but for me, I was like, holy cow, I'm on my goal pace.
Yeah.
And around mile 19, my right hip flexor literally locked up.
Oh man.
To the point where I was like bent over like this, like, and I was just like if you had photoshopped a walker on me, that's how I looked going up the trail, because I couldn't really stand up that well. And man. Yeah. And I think I finished in 9:15 or something like that. But like, It was brutal. I remember being like, and there was the worst part was, in ultra running memes, they have they talk about the chairs.
Yes.
There's this scenic vista right at mile like 31 in Colorado Springs in this Palmer Park that overlooks Pikes Peak. And there's this beautiful, beautiful bench. And I remember thinking to myself, what if I just sit down for like a second? Yeah. And I was like, no, if you sit down, you're never getting back up again. But it was like, I wish I had taken a picture and posted it, because it was like the ultimate torture on a race to have a bench just sitting there when you can barely walk.
So let me ask you this. Did you get to the point to where your mind starts getting to that, playing you mind tricks, where you start having negative thoughts?
I don't know that I went to negative thoughts. I felt like in my head, I turned into a drill sergeant. You are getting this done. You are moving forward. Like, if you get left here, like, no one's going to come get you kind of mentality. I was disappointed because I felt good. Otherwise, my nutrition was on point. The rest of my body felt good. My feet didn't hurt. None of the things that normally kind of nag me felt bad. It just locked up. Like, it's one of those things you can't control. Every ultra has one thing.
Oh yeah.
And so no negative thoughts came in. I was bummed, but I realized, like, dude, you're about to run an ultra marathon 5 months after you started running. Like, yeah, just, turn that narrative around and think about what amazingness you're about to accomplish.
So there's when you finished, can you explain that feeling that you had? Like, and how did that empower you?
Oh man, that feeling. I'll tell you this. One, I couldn't run for 13 of those miles, but you're damn sure I ran that last quarter mile when everyone could see me.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The feeling was so amazing, and here's why. At a race where you couldn't have spectators, runners that knew I was still coming in waited for me to finish. And that is the ultra marathon, like the epitome of ultra marathons and why everyone should run.
Yes.
The ultra community. But crossing that finish line, like, one, I collapsed. I'm not going to lie. Like, I collapsed into my friend Jenny's arms, who was there, like, crewing for me, so to say. Wiped, but like your entire body suddenly gets this adrenaline surge that you just did this.
Right.
And you're just like, let's do it again. Like, all of the thoughts that you had from 18 to 32 when you were dying have been completely wiped away, erased. Someone put white out all over it and was like, when's the next one? Oh, because there's just this surge. It's like your body is like holding onto it. And the minute you cross the finish line, it just like flushes through your system. And it's amazing. There's no feeling like it.
I love that feeling. And, it's one of those things, like I always say, when I'm in the moment doing it, I'm like, oh man, why do I do this? Like, okay, I think this is going to be the last long distance when I do. And then I finish, I'm ready to sign up for the next race already. So I definitely know that feeling. You talked about your nutrition and your feet didn't hurt. Can you give us some insight? And this is your first race. How was your nutrition, and what did you use that made it so on point?
So I'm not a paid spokesperson, but Tailwind Energy, my friend. And for someone of my size, the biggest reason I wear a watch is not my time, my distance. It's literally watching the calorie count on there so that I can make sure I'm ingesting enough food. But for me, Tailwind Energy and their caffeinated stuff is really important for me. I would suck down a ton of that stuff. I would sometimes supplement with some spring energy gels just because they're all natural and they don't have any preservatives in them because my stomach is like incredibly sensitive. But yeah, Tailwind is like every run I go on, I have Tailwind, and some runs it's like Tailwind, which is just a liquid supplement. That's all I use sometimes.
Okay. And keeping your feet going, keeping that cushion, what shoes did you use during your first one?
So I have feet that will only fit in ultras. Like I have literally no choice, but I typically wear the Ultra Timp 2.
Okay.
They've been great. They're really great for vertical work. I think I'm going to switch for just races, especially the Slick Rock stuff out in Moab, to the Ultra Olympus, which is a little bit more cushion. I don't think I would use the Olympus for most of the vert work I do because I need my feet to be quick and nimble and a little closer to the ground. But the Timp 2 by Ultra is my go-to. I think I've blown through 5 pairs in a year.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Are those zero drop?
Yep. Zero drop. Zero drop and that nice big wide toe box. It looks like the old Cadillacs.
Yeah. I know for me, I like to run in Hoka, anything 50 miles or less. But once you hit that stage where your feet start to swell, like, oh man, it starts putting the pain on my feet. So I know I sometimes at the tail end of a race, I'll switch to my Ultra and everything just because of that toe box. So it's a lifesaver.
Yeah, I've tried other shoes just because like the more cushioning sounds amazing, but my feet do not blister easily. But if I don't wear anything with a wide toe box, it starts to blister really badly.
So let's kind of revert back to the Moun10 business. Is there anything that we should know or that we missed talking about it at the beginning?
I mean, the reality is we're trying to diversify the starting line. That's the end goal, no matter what. And we're doing that. We decided to go with the model we have versus giving straight to organizations that work with diversity. We decided to basically put people on the starting line. We're going to cut out I didn't want to, as a white individual, to give money to a diversity organization and ask them to do the work. I said, I'm going to do the work myself. And we're just going to put people on the starting line, bring them to races, and create this team atmosphere. And the team atmosphere part was not something I thought would be a selling point. But if you ask any of the people on the team now, they're like, it's so great to be part of a team again. Like it brings them back to like their youth when they were on racing teams, or not even on racing teams, but any kind of soccer, football, etc.
Right.
And it's, we've had some interesting cultural discussions through it, which were completely organic, which I thought was awesome. And so we're just really looking forward to growing it. And the idea is the sky is the limit. If in 2 or 3 years we have enough revenue to put 300 people on a starting line at a race, we're going to put 300 people on a starting line at a race. And as you know, so everyone knows, Chigo is going to be joining our team in 2022 and is doing a completely badass run in Montana, the Crazy Mountain Ultra, which will be 100 miles. And he's one of 5 runners that we're going to put on that starting line. And I'm super excited to do smaller, more intense races like that as well, and bringing athletes to those too. So it's not just beginners and small races and group races, but also like, hey, X company has reached out and given us 5 spots. Now I have a database of people I can call and be like, hey, do you want to go do this insane run?
Yeah. It's crazy the way I'm going to say this partnership / relationship has developed. It's very quick, high speed. I went from seeing a few posts on your Instagram to following you, reaching out and letting you know, like, man, I love the vision of your business to now I'm running 100 miles through Montana. So,
and I think that is the ultra community in a nutshell. Like, as much as it's grown, like it's such a small, tight knit community. Like people know of each other, even if they've never met each other. And so it is a community. And like you said, it's coming full circle. Like the whole purpose of what we're doing is like, none of this is going to come back to me. I'm not expecting to fold my other company and work for Mountain Ultra. Like this is a fun side hustle. Like, you know, that's more entertaining than my actual day job, to be honest. But also it's about like creating awesome relationships and creating friendships and having fun racing and supporting other people's organizations, like, you know, pumping, you know, Native women running. And then you have Harold's moccasin running, and Angel on our team has an Instagram account called Adventurous Natives. And it's like, it's about letting my network now know about this network and letting this network know about mine. Like, and it's growing it organically. I can see partnerships already starting to form. Especially with my friends in the outdoor industry who want to get involved and support this. And I keep telling them, don't support me, like support the individuals that are actually running and doing the work for their communities as well.
Well, I want you to know, and I think I've already let you know before, but man, you have 100% of my support.
And I appreciate it. And likewise, you have mine. And it's like, it's going to be fun to just, you know, it's about building partnerships, and it's about creating a community and making this community more inclusive. The people are out there, the people are running. We just need to make sure that representation in races and in media reflect that as well.
So we talked about mountain running, how the direction is going in a positive direction. How do we find your business online, and how can the running community support that?
So it's mountainultra.com, MOUN10 ultra.com. And it's the same. It's Mountain Ultra at Instagram. And reality is like, tell your friends, have your friends apply for the race team, share the story if you think it's important. We fundraise through 3 different avenues. We've got the merchandise on our store, which there's a link in the bio of our Instagram and online. The virtual race that we're having in July is one of our biggest fundraisers. And then we're working on corporate partnerships. We have 2 in the works that I'm really excited about and I'm really hoping come through. Mostly because those people can do what I can't, which is get the word out to a gigantic number of people. If all they do is post about us a few times, that's enough for me, because the more people that know, the more people will get interested, will share, will buy a t-shirt, will sign up for a race. Like, it's little things. I don't need $10,000 donations to make this happen. Like, the more people that know about us, the greater the impact we can have.
That's awesome. Hopefully this podcast helps you out a little bit too.
I'm sure. And I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, definitely. So let's move into what I'm going to start calling the 5 to stay alive.
Okay.
And any guest that comes onto this show is going to be asked these specific 5 questions. So number 1, do you run with or without music? And if so, what is the one song on your playlist that motivates you?
Ooh. I normally do not run with music, but I carry it with me on ultras just in case I get to the pain cave and I can't get my head out of there.
Yeah.
And I don't have a song per se, but Lizzo's album is like my go-to because that girl, like, she will get you fired up to run through a wall. And I know it's funny and my friends love to tease me about it, but her album like gets me fired up like when I'm in that really dark headspace.
All right. So, you know, with that being said, like, idea popped up in my head just now. I think since we're streaming on Spotify, I think we'll make a running playlist for every guest that comes on my show. We're gonna add a song to this playlist, and so
I'll send you my favorite Lizzo song after this.
All right,
Water Me is probably the best one. There's something about it that just gets me fired up. But
all right,
that entire album.
That's going to be number 1 on the list right there. All right. Question number 2. What competition or race is on your bucket list?
This is a tough one because my running career is so early on and I don't know what's possible yet. I have two really big ones next year that I'm stoked about. One I'm very scared about though.
Okay.
So one of our group races next year will be the Behind the Rocks Ultra with Mad Moose in Moab next March. And before all this I committed to doing the 50 miler there.
Okay.
And that it scares me to death. But the other one I'm really stoked about is Trans Selkirks up in Canada in Alberta.
Okay.
So it's not I don't know if it's considered an ultra per se. It's 100 miles over 5 days, but it's very vert heavy. It's 100 miles and I think it's 29,000 feet of vert. And so you're basically climbing up and over mountains for 5 straight days. And so I'm really excited about that one. Was supposed to do it this year, but with COVID restrictions potentially in place, like the whole point was to drive up there with the van and then make it this big, long, beautiful road trip. And I was like, if I can only go to race, I don't want to do it. And so I deferred to next year when hopefully I'll have the confidence of a 50-mile finish under my belt when I roll into Alberta to do that race.
When you run, do you carry a camera or anything like that? I
have my cell phone. I've been thinking about carrying a GoPro for some of the ridge running I do that's super up high, so people can see it. One of the funny things is my mom is a gigantic scaredy cat and always worries that I'm going to die doing everything I do, but she loves seeing these like super high up pictures or like selfies of me at the top of a rock climb.
Yes.
And so I've been thinking about like getting a GoPro for some of these like really intense ridge runs that I try and get after. Cause summit sunrises are kind of my jam in the summer here.
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
So I've been thinking about getting a GoPro for that, but otherwise, no, normally just my cell phone, and I keep it in airplane mode to kind of just stay in the moment.
Oh yeah, you need to. That is one of the biggest things to do is when you're running, enjoy it. Be in that moment. Be there. Don't be elsewhere in your mind. Let's go to question number 3. What is the one thing that an athlete should avoid in their journey to becoming a better runner?
Everybody else's opinions. I'm just going to say this. I have people that love me and care about me and gave me all this advice. And the minute I started following advice that they gave me for my body, nothing but bad things started to happen.
Yep.
Listen to yourself, listen to your gut when you're eating and drinking and stuff like that. And take in general long-term advice and like long-standing advice, but your body is your body and everyone is going to operate very differently. For me, pushing myself constantly day after day really didn't hurt. When I started implementing long rest periods, I kept getting hurt. And so for me, it's about being consistent. And as long as I'm not redlining every day, I'm okay. But when I start putting in 2 to 3 periods of rest day, following ultras and following big runs, like I got nothing but hurt. And so I think for me, I'm very much when a body's in motion, keep it in motion kind of thing.
And I totally agree. And when I'm asking myself these questions, when I was creating this template and everything, that was my answer as well. So I'm right there with you on that one.
Yeah, I feel like in this community, it's so easy to like talk. There's so many different things that go into it. It's what shoes, what clothes, what nutrition, and nutrition is just everywhere.
Yes.
And it's so different for some people. I have friends who can ingest large amounts of fat and protein while running. Whereas if I do that, I'm instantly getting sick. And so it's so hard to listen to people. And so my good friends, I'm like, here, dabble. Here are 10 things to try. Yes. Try them in small amounts, never on race day. But everyone else's opinions don't matter. Like your body is going to be so much different.
I totally agree. And like one of the things that I want to do with this podcast is get that point across. If you go to like Facebook running pages and stuff, there's always new runners that ask the same question, and it's because they don't know. But what shoe is the best? They're asking these beginner questions, but once you get to just dabbling in little things like that, you realize that other runners, we're all different. And so what works well for one runner may not work for another and everything. So just taking some advice just because they ran for X amount of years doesn't mean it's going to work for them. And that's the one point I want to get across.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest discussions we've had in our little Instagram group for our race team, because we have some brand new ultra runners in there.
Yes.
And they were like, what shoe is best and what food is best? And I love that everyone came out and was like, okay, you might wear a size 10 shoe, but you might wear a very different size shoe in an ultra running shoe. And I was like, this is the one time you need to go to an in-person store, get fitted, have them look at your feet, because if your feet hurt, the rest of your body does not matter. And so like, and then we were like, nutrition wise, and everyone was like, here's what we try, but this means nothing. You could be on a completely different level. And I loved it because everyone came out and said that versus being like, here's what you need to do and follow these instructions. And we have some really badass runners on our team, and everyone was like, dude, I can tell you whatever I want, but it might not work for you.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Number 4, finish this statement. When it comes to long distance running, Bryce cannot leave the house without his.
I think it would have to be my Sunto 9 Barrow with the barometer. One, it helps when I'm getting up high in case the weather's about to shift. But again, for me, it's about tracking those calories. Like I adjust my weight on a daily basis if it changes, so that this can always give me the most accurate measurements of what I'm burning. Because for me, if I don't take in enough, I have bonked before. And I can tell you all, when you bonk, and if you bonk hard, your legs will literally lock up. Like, and when I say lock up, I mean like you cannot bend them. And so never again, I will never leave without this. I will leave without headphones. I will leave without a backpack. I will leave without food. I will leave without water. But if I leave without my watch, I'm in a lot of trouble.
What is the battery life on that?
I have never had an issue. I did training all week in the deserts of Moab, and then ran an ultra, and my watch still was at like 30% left.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I've never had any issues, and it can plug into any USB port and charge in like 20 minutes. So it's been great. And I think you can set it up to like, if you did like some of the big races you do, I think it could last the entire race if you set the breadcrumbs to further apart. Oh,
nice.
Yeah.
Number 5, do you have a running mantra?
That's a really good one. I don't know if I have a mantra as much as like, you're going to get there, like just keep going. And again, that probably stems from the fact that, like I said, most of my stuff is vert stuff. And so I know where that reward is most of the time, right in the middle versus at the end. Because like, the going down part, I mean, it's not easy on your body, but it's a lot easier than the going up part. But it's, someone once said, just keep moving, like Dory, just keep moving, just keep moving. And that's kind of like what it is. It's like, the minute you stop and like acknowledge everything that your body is feeling, like you're in a lot of trouble, because then you're not going to want to go forward. So I try and evaluate what's actual pain and what's just, suffering leaving my body, so to say.
Oh yeah. I totally understand that, and we talk about the pain and everything that comes with running and everything. For me, the one thing that I had to learn was fixing my form, and just being conscious about it, like every so many minutes, just kind of like, hey, check your arms, check your stride, little things like that help me a lot. But there are still times where I get in a zone and I become a zombie, and next thing you know, I'm hurting again. So it's just one of those things you got to put yourself in check.
That's a good point, because it's funny, because I would watch all these like running videos, especially of like the ones you see on Instagram, like the shoe companies will use, and it's all these, but they're on a track. And so they're in a very different environment than the trail and going up and down. And so they're always so straight up at the hip. And my PT was like, if you run like that, that's why your hip flexors are going to lock up, because you're not allowing them to like contract. And that's what I was doing. I was running like with this perfectly straight back and my arms perfect, but like everything would lock up. And it was like, you're right. You have to pay attention to your form. It doesn't have to be pretty, but it has to be functional.
Oh, definitely. All right. So do you have anything else before we close this out?
I do. I'm going to turn this around on you.
Here we go.
What can we as Mountain Ultra do better and do for the runners of color? Because this is what we're here to do, and we're willing to take all the feedback we can get, and we're trying to do our best to make sure that we have representation on our board, in our posts and everything else. But what can we do to make this even more impactful?
Well, I think you're on the right track. Little by little, my math teacher used to say this, little by little, math it. Wait, hold on. I'm probably messing this up. Little by little, math is hard. Inch by inch, math is a cinch.
Yeah.
And so I think you're on that right track. Taking these little small steps, making small partnerships, they are paying off. And it's showing right now because you and we're networking. Now we're like, I got to network with Verna now. And so Indigenous Ultra, with Scott, all these other things are coming together. And so you can see everything is tightening up. Everybody's coming together, and us together are being able to get the word out to a lot of people now. And so if you need regional, I guess would be a good word, regional representation, you can reach out to other runners in that. So, I mean, next year, I'm going to be your guy down here in Texas. So, and trust me, I got a lot of runners that are going to be coming on the show here, and I network with in the Houston area. So that's going to be another in for you. So I really do think that your model is actually working. I think we just got to keep putting in the work and getting across that finish line.
Yeah. And I agree with you. It's all about like all of us syncing up. We're all working at Indigenous Trail with Scott and Native Women Running with Verna. Like we're all trying to do the same thing. And I'm trying to come at it and, for lack of a better word, bring my people into the mix and have them see the value in it as well. Because that's the reality of this situation. Like all of us, all sides, the people of color and white runners need to see the value in this in order for these kind of initiatives to move forward. And so I'm really excited about where it's going. If anyone who's listening, get to our website. There's a link to apply on our website for the team. There's a link in our bio of Instagram to apply for the team. We are hopeful to get 50 runners this year, which is really, really awesome. We'll have at least 30. We'll likely have 50. This is a mixed team. We try and keep it'll be no less than a 2-to-1 ratio of BIPOC runners to white runners. But we believe the mixed team leads to more in-depth discussions and understanding of different cultures and of the issues facing everybody on the team. And we're really stoked on it. And I can't wait to see it. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully in 2023, we have 100 runners.
I'm looking forward to it. Definitely looking forward to it. But yeah, like I said before, if you need me, man, all you got to do is reach out. I'm here.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. And same here. If you need anything, just let me know.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for coming on the show. It was an honor to have you.
Thanks, man. I'm very honored to be your first guest. I'm really excited to see how it turns out.
Yes, sir. We'll talk to you later, man.
All right. Bye.
All right. Yep. All right. Some news and views before we cross this finish line. So we have 2 stickers at the moment. In the process, we're making a few more. But, man, I love stickers. And anywhere I go traveling, those are the one things that I'm sure to buy are stickers. So the stickers that we have made so far, they're heavy duty, they're very colorful, and they're durable. So be on the lookout for those. We're currently working with a graphic design artist to tighten up our logo. That way we can make some running hats and at the same time make them affordable for you. I never realized how much embroidering costs and everything. So I actually got one in the process of being made, but in order to produce them and sell them, it was going to be too costly. So we took a step back and we're going to try again. We're also throwing around the idea of making some t-shirts. There's 2 t-shirt ideas that I've had for such a long time, but I've never put those plans into motion. But now that I'm taking all these other steps, we're going to take a step and try to get these produced and everything. So the learning curve, how to sell all this, is pretty steep for a newbie like me. But I've got to start somewhere. So stay tuned and I'll keep you updated as necessary. I appreciate you guys listening to the podcast and everything. We're approaching a finish line. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or recommendations, contact me at runshoot.diaries@gmail.com. That's runshoot.diaries@gmail.com. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Keyword search Run Shoe Diaries. Thank you for listening to the Run Shoe Diaries podcast, episode 1 with Bryce Denton. Until next time, remember that with each step comes the decision to take another. So keep putting one foot in front of the other because it's amazing what you can do on your own 2 feet. I'm out.